The wrapping paper I'd carefully hand-painted lay crumpled in the trash can, along with the wooden music box I'd spent 3 months carving for my niece's 5th birthday. Above it, my brother-in-law Marcus stood with a disgusted look on his face. "Enough is enough, Emily," he declared to our gathered family. "We've tolerated your thoughtful homemade gifts for years, but Sophia deserves better than some amateur woodwork. She's a Wellington now." My sister Lisa sat uncomfortably on their Italian leather sofa, avoiding my eyes. Their mansion's grand living room suddenly felt suffocating, despite its 20-foot ceilings and crystal chandeliers. I thought, since Dad taught me woodworking before he disappeared. My voice trailed off as Marcus let out a harsh laugh. "Your father? The man who abandoned your family 10 years ago? Please, he was just a small-time carpenter who couldn't handle responsibility. Sophie needs to learn about real value, not sentimental garbage." He gestured to the mountain of expensive presents surrounding my niece, designer clothes, electronic gadgets, and a pommy, a real one, waiting in their private stables. My handmade music box looked painfully out of place. "Uncle Marcus is right, Auntie M," Sophie said in a small voice, clutching her new iPad. "Handmade stuff is for poor people." The words hit harder than any physical blow. I'd practically raised Sophia during her first 2 years while Lisa and Marcus built his company, Wellington Technologies. Now, at age 5, she was already learning to look down on anything that wasn't bought with money. Actually, a deep voice came from the doorway. "Handmade things are for people who understand true value." The room fell silent as an elderly man in an impeccable suit stepped in. Behind him, through the mansion's floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see a sleek private helicopter landing on Marcus's prized lawn. "Who the hell are you?" Marcus demanded. "This is a private party." The man smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "James Chen, majority shareholder of Chen Global Industries." He paused, looking straight at me. "And Emily's father." Marcus's face went from red to white. Chen Global Industries wasn't just any company. It was the corporate giant that had been buying up tech companies across Asia and America, including, just last week, a controlling interest in Wellington Technologies. But I barely registered Marcus's shock. I was staring at my father, the man who disappeared 10 years ago, leaving only a letter saying he had to protect us. The man who taught me to find beauty in creating things with my own hands. "Dad," I whispered. He smiled, that familiar warm smile I'd missed for a decade. "Hello, little bird. I believe we need to have a family discussion about the true value of things, especially since I now own 51% of your brother-in-law's company." The imported crystal glasses in Marcus's hand slipped, shattering on the marble floor. But that crash was nothing compared to how his world was about to shatter. "This is ridiculous," Marcus sputtered, his designer tie suddenly feeling like a noose. "There must be some mistake. The Chen Global takeover was supposed to be handled by their board, not." He trailed off, realizing he'd said too much. Dad picked up the handmade music box from the trash, carefully wiping it clean with his silk handkerchief. "Beautiful craftsmanship, Emily. You've mastered the hidden compartment technique I taught you." Marcus snorted, trying to regain his composure. "Hidden compartment? It's a child's toy, nada." Dad pressed a subtle notch in the wooden rose I carved on top. The base of the box slid open, revealing an intricate mechanism within. "The same mechanism," Dad said quietly, "that you tried to patent last year, Marcus. Claiming it as your own invention. The same design that won Wellington Technologies the government defense contract worth $300 million. The room temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Lisa stood up, looking between her husband and our father. "Marcus, what is he talking about?" Dad set the music box on a nearby marble table. 10 years ago, I discovered someone was stealing my patents, my designs. They threatened my family if I didn't disappear. So I left to protect my daughters, but I never stopped watching. Never stopped building evidence." He pulled out a tablet, displaying documents that made Marcus's face go ashen. "Every design you claimed as yours, every innovation that built Wellington Technologies, they were all stolen. My designs, my work. You didn't just marry my daughter, you used her to get close to my old workshop, where I kept my prototype designs." Lisa's hands flew to her mouth. "The weekend trips to Emily's house, when you said you were helping her clean out Dad's old things. He was stealing." I finished, years of puzzle pieces finally fitting together. Those missing notebooks I could never find. You took them, didn't you, Marcus? You can't prove anything. Marcus backed away, reaching for his phone. I wouldn't call your lawyers just yet, Dad said calmly. They might be busy with the federal investigators currently raiding your corporate offices. You see, that defense contract, using stolen designs on government projects, is a federal offense. Little Sophia, forgotten in the chaos, suddenly spoke up. Mommy, is Uncle Marcus a bad man? But before Lisa could answer, the mansion's security system began blaring. Through the windows, we could see federal agents approaching the house. Marcus made a dash for his private elevator, but he wasn't fast enough. Running away, Dad's voice cut through the chaos. Like you tried to make me run away 10 years ago? Marcus froze, his hand on the elevator button. And that's when I noticed something strange about his reaction. He didn't look surprised by Dad's accusation. He looked guilty. The truth about my father's disappearance was about to get much darker. What does he mean, Marcus? Lisa's voice trembled. What did you do to our father? Marcus's composed facade finally cracked. He looked like a cornered animal, his eyes darting between the approaching federal agents and the private elevator. You don't understand, he said desperately. I was nothing before Wellington Technologies, a nobody with student loans and a worthless MBA. But your father, he had everything. The designs, the patents, the genius, he just wouldn't sell. Dad stepped forward, his face hardening. Tell them, Marcus. Tell my daughters what really happened 10 years ago. Marcus loosened his tie, sweat beading on his forehead. I found out about his designs through an old college friend at the patent office. They were revolutionary, quantum encryption, AI interfaces, things decades ahead of their time. I tried to buy them, but he refused. Because they weren't for sale, Dad interrupted. They were meant to be my legacy to my daughters. Marcus laughed bitterly. Legacy? Emily was a high school art teacher, and Lisa was a junior accountant. What do they know about revolutionary technology? The federal agents were inside now, moving silently through the mansion's marble halls. So I made some calls, Marcus continued, his voice taking on a manic edge. Found people who could apply pressure. We staged a break-in at his workshop, made it look like industrial espionage. The message was clear: disappear, or his daughters would have tragic accidents. Lisa collapsed onto the sofa, her world shattering. Our entire marriage, it was all about Dad's designs. Not at first, Marcus protested, but when I saw his workshop, do you know what those designs were worth? Billions, and he was going to waste them on scholarships and community projects. The music box, I said suddenly, understanding dawning. That's why you really threw it away. You recognized the mechanism. Dad nodded. Each gift Emily made contained one of my designs, brought to life through her artistry. I've been watching, guiding her from afar through the crafts I taught her. While you were stealing my papers, Marcus, my daughter was learning to recreate my work through her own hands. Little Sophia picked up the music box, opening the hidden compartment with innocent curiosity. Inside was not just the mechanism, but a tiny USB drive. Evidence, Dad explained. Every time Emily made a gift, she unknowingly documented your theft. Each design you stole, each patent you falsified, she proved they existed in her workshop first. The federal agents reached the living room. Marcus Wellington, you're under arrest for corporate espionage, patent fraud, and conspiracy. As they led him away in handcuffs, Marcus made one last desperate plea. Lisa, baby, you have to believe me. I did it for us, for our family. Lisa stood, slipping off her wedding ring. No, Marcus, you did it for yourself. And now you've lost everything, including your family. But as Marcus was led away, I noticed Dad checking his phone with growing concern. Whatever he saw made his face turn grave. It's not over, he said quietly. Marcus wasn't working alone, and his partners just made their move. What do you mean, it's not over? Lisa asked, clutching Sophia protectively. Dad's phone buzzed again. Marcus was just a pawn. The real player's heir. He was cut off by a massive explosion from the direction of his helicopter. Through the mansion's windows, we watched in horror as flames engulfed the aircraft. They're here, Dad said grimly. The Wellington Group's real owners. The mansion's lights suddenly went dark. Emergency generators hummed to life, casting everything in an eerie red glow. Through the security cameras, we could see figures in black tactical gear entering the building. "Mom?" Sophia whimpered. "Emily, the music box," Dad commanded. "The USB drive isn't the only thing hidden inside. Remember what I taught you about secondary compartments?" My fingers moved automatically, finding the tiny catch behind the wooden rose. The bottom panel slid aside, revealing not just the mechanism, but a small keycard. "The Wellington Group isn't just a tech company," Dad explained as he took the card. "They're a front for corporate mercenaries. They don't just steal technology, they steal entire companies." Marcus was useful because of his MBA and clean background, but the real power was always above him. "And you knew?" Lisa demanded. "You let me marry him?" "I needed proof," Dad said, swiping the keycard through Marcus's private elevator. "And I needed to keep you both close to the evidence." Emily's gifts weren't just documenting the theft, they were building a case against the entire organization. The elevator opened to reveal a hidden command center beneath the mansion. Screens showed security feeds from across the city, including Wellington Technologies offices. Marcus's real bosses, Dad continued, typing rapidly at a terminal, are the Blackwood siblings. They've been using stolen technology to manipulate global markets for decades. Your husband was just their latest puppet. Suddenly, a familiar voice filled the room. "Hello, James. Still playing chess with people's lives?" We turned to see Eleanor Blackwood herself stepping out of the shadows, elegant in a black suit that probably cost more than my yearly salary. Behind her, her brother Richard trained a gun at us. "You disappeared for 10 years, built your evidence, positioned your daughters perfectly," Eleanor said, almost admiringly. "But did you really think we wouldn't notice?" "Actually," Dad smiled, pressing one final key. "I was counting on it." Every screen in the command center suddenly lit up with a single image. The Wellington Group's entire operation being broadcast live to every major news network and law enforcement agency globally. The music box design wasn't just a prototype, Dad explained as Eleanor's face contorted with rage. "It was the key to your encrypted servers. Every gift Emily made, every mechanism she recreated. They were all pieces of a master key, and you just helped me activate it." Eleanor lunged for the terminal, but it was too late. 20 years of corporate theft, market manipulation, and worse were now public knowledge. "The federal agents upstairs," Richard snarled. "They're our people." "No," came a new voice. "They're mine." Agent Sarah Chen, my long-lost sister, who'd gone undercover in the Wellington Group years ago, stepped in with her own team of agents. "Hello, little sisters. Sorry I missed all the family reunions." As the Blackwoods were led away in handcuffs, Sophia tugged at my sleeve. "Auntie M, can you teach me how to make a music box?" 3 months later, Wellington Technologies was transformed into the Chen Foundation, dedicated to protecting independent inventors and artists. Lisa runs the legal team, ensuring no other family goes through what ours did. Sarah heads security, while I lead our innovation department. Turns out art and technology aren't so different after all. Dad retired properly this time, though he still teaches woodworking at the community center. Every student gets a special first project, a music box with a hidden compartment, perfect for keeping their own dreams safe. Marcus and the Blackwoods face justice, but their greatest punishment might be seeing their stolen empire transformed into a force for good. Every year, we send them a special gift in prison, a handmade music box, playing a tune that sounds suspiciously like karma. As for little Sophia, she's already designed her first hidden compartment, but her greatest creation isn't the technology inside. It's the understanding that true value lies not in what we own, but in what we create with our own hands and hearts.